Sure. Did he give us the thumbs up then?
You came to the door.
Okay.
I assume that was the thumbs up.
I didn't get a good, clear look at
We'll
it.
go with it. All right, we'll call the September 16th Apex Public Art Committee monthly meeting to order. First order of business is to get an approval of the August 19th, 2024 meeting minutes. So do we have any motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of 19th August.
All right, there's a motion
I'll second.
and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Motion carries. Town liaison report. Taylor.
I don't have anything to report at this moment, but we'll talk more in the new and old business.
All right, and on to the chairperson's report. That's me. I will do the same, make comments during the old and new business. And now to public comment. Anyone like to make any public comment today?
It's okay if you don't have any
All right.
comment right now.
That's okay. All right, seeing none, we will go to old business. So first item up is the mural. This is the Greenway Project mural. We have got a great response to the call for artists closed last week, and terrific response. A lot of great selections to choose from, and we'll have that follow-up meeting right after this meeting to down select to a short list, and then and kind of go on with the process from there. So I think we're moving according to our schedule, and yeah, things moving on well there. Any comments or questions at the moment on that, or could you also bring those up later when we get together? Okay, very good. All right, on to crosswalk art. We don't have Sean here today, but I don't know, Taylor, if you have any update on this crosswalk. There's two crosswalk items. This one is the older one that we've been talking about for a little while.
I thought I had saw an email from Sean, and I followed up with him, and he said he hadn't sent anything yet.
Okay.
I guess he was driving. He wasn't able to follow up with me. So right now for the what we're calling old crosswalk, we don't have any updates without Sean being present.
Okay, all right. We will follow up with him offline and see if we can get that moving. All right, digital art. So any progress on rescheduling the workshop?
So I have contacted AvCon, and I am awaiting their response. I did ask them to give us an option of daytime and evening. That way we had a little bit more options instead of just one, you make it or not. So I am waiting on their response. I know that they're kind of the middleman between the two of us, so I know that they're being proactive. And then the project status, we are finally contracted for the drawing. So we're finally done with the contract itself. Signatures are on their way right now. So that is for the structural engineered drawings for the projector project. So we're just waiting on signatures. And then the turnaround for that is 25-30 days. So hopefully by our next meeting, we will not only have a completed contract, but either be completed with the drawings or close to being done with the drawings.
And for the drawings, I know one of the things that we were interested in is either wrapping it in some way or doing some kind of design on the structure so that it also was aesthetically pleasing, I guess you might say. So at what point do we get to provide input to the designers to do that type of thing?
You're welcome to send me your input now. That way, as we get the big thumbs up with the contract, I can send them our requests and requirements. They already have the baseline from AvCon, but any of the more aesthetic parts, we can always request at this point.
Are we able to see that baseline?
Yes, yeah, it's the, I'm happy to send it to you, but it's essentially just the blueprint of what AvCon created a couple months ago with where the projector will be and what the specifications are and everything.
Okay.
I'm happy to send that.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
All right. Any other questions or comments on this project?
If you're gonna send me any requests or requirements, if you'll send them to me by the end of the week, because I anticipate the contract being done this week.
Okay,
Mhm.
that's good. All right. Okay, next item, public art stickers. This is also something Sean was working on. I haven't heard any feedback on that one, have
I
you?
haven't heard
No,
anything.
okay, so we'll hold that till he's at the next meeting or in between. Holiday window painting, Bethany.
We selected the date of, now I don't have it in front of me, the Monday after Thanksgiving. Apex Friendship, Apex High School, and Dailies are all responded, and they're all down for it. And we did select the Tuesday, the day after, as the rain date. So
Right.
as far as that's concerned, we still have plenty of paint. I'm gonna look over the materials and make sure we don't need anything else. And Taylor, are we still okay to do like what we've done the last time, which is having some like snacks for the kids? I think
Mhm.
last time we got,
Yeah, just send me
Costco
your
cookies
request
or
and we
something.
can take care of it.
what's the easiest way to, like, I can ask you later.
Yeah, I
but
mean, Costco, Publix,
Okay,
Harris Teeter,
okay,
anything like
okay.
that.
I think last
can
time we
you-
got-
Can you repeat the names of the schools that have signed on?
Apex Friendship, Apex High School, and Dailies.
Okay,
The same
great.
3 schools that we have in the
I'm
past.
so glad.
So it looks like that's December 2nd.
Yeah, December 2nd.
And December 3rd.
Yep.
December 2nd.
And I think we said 3 to 5,
Yes.
which seemed like plenty of time
Yeah. that
last
seems
year.
good.
I think we were pretty, I mean, we didn't have to drag them away last year, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the tree lighting committee has asked for the students to focus on
Snowman,
snowmen.
yep, and
or
I told them all
snow
that,
people
so
of
they
some
all-
kind.
I'll
Yeah.
remind them again, like in the reminder that I'll send beforehand, I'll remind them about it.
Yeah.
But I did mention that to all of them. And I think they like to have some guidance anyways.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
it gives them a little bit, and I don't know how early they're going to be talking about that, but should we have a good result?
That's
Hopefully, no rain and no cold.
Yeah. And if we need any more materials, let me know.
Like a month ahead.
Yeah, about
Yeah.
a month ahead in
Okay.
case there's any delays.
Yeah.
Okay.
White paint, that's always.
Yeah.
I know, right?
White. I think we still have a huge jug
white,
of white.
maybe a little orange.
Yeah.
Maybe a little green.
Whatever snowman colors.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Bethany. Anything else on that?
I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah, any help that anyone can provide is always great. Really
thanks.
welcome. This year I may be out of town, so I'll know in a couple of weeks, but I'll let you know. But so if anybody else can come out, it's great. All right. Next one is public art funding. Taylor.
Yes. Okay. So you'll see the memorandum right in front of you here. That is the same that I presented at the last public art meeting. This is just so you can recall it. I also emailed it to you on Friday. So the purpose of today's discussion in regards to the funding is the Finance Committee has presented us with this memorandum as facts and data. This is not a request like for specific items. This is just facts, okay, and the research from surrounding towns. The items that need action are the official recommendations from the Public Art Committee on exactly what we're looking for from this memorandum. So this is separate from the current funding. So this has nothing to do with our budgeted items that we currently have or subsequently will have. So the first bullet point, as mentioned, or I should go back and say, while the Finance Committee greatly appreciated the comments that the Public Art Committee submitted at the last month's meeting, the Finance Committee would need an action from the Public Art Committee. So this is an actual decision of parameters for requesting public art funding. So the first item in relation would be the art tied to specific projects and locations. So what that would mean is anytime a greenway comes up, this is an example, of course. If a new greenway was to be built or proposed, then the Public Art Committee requests this type of art to be with it. If a new building is proposed and built, this type of art is built with it or built in it. So that's the first point, and we can go through them individually, but I'm going to give you like the scope first. We would need the percent for allocation, amount tied to specific projects and locations. And so that's quite literally a percentage that they would need. The third item would be what capital projects or categories the committee is recommending at the 1% allocated. So when I talked to the finance department, they had said, is this something that the Public Art Committee only wants for parks, recreation, and cultural resources items and facilities items? There are some limitations as to what we can say. We can't say we can 1% of all capital funding because some capital funding has to do with utilities, which has nothing to do with this type of percentage, as well as vehicle purchases and items like that. It would not have to do with that. So if we're going to say specifics as to what project categories and types, and then the last one would be a percent for art requested in addition to the current public art program. So that is outside of capital funding, that is outside of projects and locations that would be built into the capital. Okay, I received only a little bit of feedback via email, so I think this would be a good opportunity to talk about what the four of your thoughts are with this, and we can always bring these forward to the finance department.
Okay. And so if we can get to it tonight, we could potentially make an actual motion for a statement of some sort that then could go to the finance. Okay. So let me share the feedback that I provided to Taylor. Thank you, Taylor. This is great, and as well as whoever put the document together. So that's good stuff.
The whole finance department, they're amazing.
Cool. So the comments that I made were to have this on in addition to the funding that we get. So it's not to take away from the funding that we get today. So that was the steady state kind of operational budget type of thing would remain. This is intended to be on top of that, and it is 1% tied to, the idea was 1%, and that's pretty consistent with what the document says too, tied to capital projects that are facility in nature, so like a new building, a new greenway, this type of thing. So just as Taylor outlined, the one item that I wanted to maybe be more clear on is not that we would tie a specific type of project to a specific type of facility. So in other words, we wouldn't say you're building a greenway, therefore it must be X.
Sure.
A mural or something like that. Because there are circumstances where a sculpture would make sense, others where a crosswalk might make sense, others where a mural on a retaining wall would make sense.
Sure.
So I think we should leave that open. Same with a building, right? You might build a building like this and a mural might be terrific, but you also equally, there might be a courtyard where a sculpture would be terrific, right? So, and you could do maybe both, depending on the size of the project. Sure. So that would be my recommendation, is that we don't kind of lock ourselves into a specific project equals a specific type of art, and we would keep it open, and that would be something that we could, as a public art committee, engage with the designers and others involved in that project to help advise or work on it in any capacity that you need.
So we would, just so I understand clearly, and the finance department will also have this recording so they can go back to it. Just so I understand it, not so much a clear cut like greenway equals this type of art, but more when a facility of some type is proposed, they would then work with the public art committee to develop what that fine art piece would be.
Yes.
Okay.
So certainly say not every project is the same, and obviously location makes a big difference.
Right, and the
Greenway may
scale
not
of the project might dictate the type of thing that could be afforded on that project as well. So there's a lot of factors
Type of
that
greenway,
could go
you
in.
could have an interactive art versus,
Sure.
Depending
Could
on
possibly be.
like the function of the building
Yeah.
or property.
That's right.
I definitely agree with that strongly.
Okay, great.
The percent by like what types of projects?
Yeah, so there are two requests for a percent in here. So it is a percent allocation amount tied to specific project and location. This is not general public art. So this is not what we're currently working on. So percent allocated amount tied to specific projects and location. So if a greenway is built, how much of that funding, hypothetically, are we saying would go to an art piece? So we do need a percentage proposed for that. And then the secondary percent is percent for art request in addition to current public art program.
I'm not sure.
I'm not understanding.
I know.
that. What does
So
that
in
mean?
addition to the project that would be attached to
Yeah.
the,
Mhm.
you would be an extra fund going into public art, is that,
Mhm.
okay, that's what, I thought that's what I was hearing.
Oh, okay. My thought initially was that it would tie to that project. It would be 1% of that project, and therefore it would be a separate budget entirely.
Yes,
was my
there
thought,
is,
but
one of
okay.
the percentages that is asked for is a percent that's tied to that project.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
But then the finance department is also asking a percent for art requests in addition to current public art program.
Well, the 1% seems like it's pretty standard.
Yeah.
So why not split it 0.5% and 0.5%?
I would prefer to just keep it whole, just because then you'd have, there could be complications with that, and then it's, I feel like it's a much more straightforward to just keep it whole. That would be my opinion, but others can weigh in.
Okay, so
Or
1%.
for the site
Yeah, tied to that project, specific
site.
project and site.
and
Yeah, because I think
none,
we have
none
another.
for the general.
Right, because as long as this is on top of the general fund and not taking away from what we're generally getting.
Mhm.
Yeah, the second one specifically says in addition to current
Yeah,
public art program.
That's the idea.
Mhm. So, do we want to propose 1% for both project allocation, percent allocation amount tied to project and location, as well as 1% for art requested in addition to public art program?
I think only one of them is what I would recommend, because the other is already funded. And that would be more consistent with the percentages that others are
Yeah, I was looking to see if
Other
anybody else had the
communities
similar,
doing.
percentages.
There's a chart of the amount of money we're talking about.
I was looking at Raleigh and other cities.
So the potential budgetary impact by year.
So theoretically, it would be, you could theoretically offer 1% and then additional 1%, so then it would be 2% of that project. Is that kind of,
That's my understanding at this point, yes. Now, we'll have a whole new memorandum built based on this conversation, and it will.
and I'm assuming
then
that'll
to-
go into detail about, because I see in here
Mhm.
what that 1% is then allocated for. Like, it looks like other municipalities do a certain percentage of that 1% goes towards the actual art, and then part of it towards, because I'm thinking of staff, like if
Sure.
we're needing another additional staff person, or
Sure.
to help,
Yeah, the cost of the project
Yeah.
is not just
just
the art
the actual art piece. So
It's the artist.
Yeah.
It's also the materials. It's
it's also all the coordination.
Yeah, the management of it. Yeah, building the actual space and the staff that has to do with it.
Yeah. Should we make a motion, or is
I
this
think
just
that's
something?
probably the best way to move forward is to make a motion of what the four of you would like, and that's what I'll be bringing forward.
Okay.
Mhm.
So the way that figure 1 is created is just the 1%, and then they're asking if that were our request, how much of that would go to which?
I don't think that's part of the ask
Yeah.
necessarily.
Mm-mm.
How it's broken down, that's more of a
That'll be it.
detail, I think, after. This is
Yeah.
just to establish the fund as a percentage of the project.
Yeah, we're essentially to we're essentially, since this is fact and data, we're essentially proposing a change in policy.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we're trying to get to right now. So it's just the baseline.
Do we also have to identify projects over a certain dollar amount, or is, because I'm seeing some places do projects over a certain dollar amount. I don't know if is that part of the question?
They did
Okay.
not mention that
Okay.
to me. No.
I would stick with just whatever the capital threshold is. So there's a threshold for the town and that'll trigger it. If it's an expense project, then it wouldn't be part of that.
So the proposal that I'm hearing is 1% for capital projects that trigger the thing, and it goes to a site specific, like it goes to
Tied to
that
that project.
site. Yeah.
Yeah, tied to that project.
And that's
Above the general funding that the public art gets.
and there's currently no request.
Yeah, and
for
then
a
no
general.
tie to the specific type of project that would be determined on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, I think that's solid.
I'm writing it down and then I'll say it
Yes.
out loud.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I'm like at a bad angle
Yeah,
here.
yeah. That's great.
Okay, so
Is it possible this is a once in a lifetime policy thing, and
No,
it would make
I think
sense to try to
policies
get?
always have a chance to get amended.
This is gonna get bounced back and forth.
Yeah, there'll be
Right.
discussion, I'm sure, and
Yeah.
a lot of, conversation about it.
the idea from the finance department is the finance department, as well as myself and the Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Resources Department Director Craig will bring this to the finance committee in late October.
Yeah, okay.
So it is something that we still have a little bit more time. If we need to bounce questions
Yeah,
back and
okay.
forth over the next week or so, we can, and then we'll start building our presentation.
That sounds great.
So am I understanding correctly? 1% of capital projects that are in relation to Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Resources and or facilities are then tied to specific projects that are also outside of the current public art funding, can then have a 1% with consultation from the Public Art Committee. Does that all make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. There are many steps to that one.
I think you covered it all
Yes.
well.
So do we need a motion on that?
Yes.
All right.
I'll make a motion to propose to the finance committee as Taylor has just indicated, so I don't have to say it again.
I'll second.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank
All
you. Thanks for that, Taylor, and your patience describing that. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
All right, new business, meeting schedule update. So you have in front of you a calendar. We approved this last time, but there was one other meeting date that needed to move, and that was in January because it fell on a holiday. So we just moved it to the following Monday at our new normal time. So yeah, if there's is there any questions, comments on this? And if not, then we'll be asking for a motion to approve this as well.
Motion to approve.
All right, there's a motion.
Second.
There's a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, new schedule carries. Thank you. And the last one in new business was crosswalk art, a new chapter in that story
Yes.
from Taylor. Go ahead.
This is
Please.
new crosswalk. So I believe I have kind of mentioned the Salem Street crosswalk proposal already to this group. I'm not clear if it was an email or if it was in our last meeting, but this is being pushed forward. So the Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Resources Department, in conjunction with the Public Art Committee, is being asked to move forward with a crosswalk mural on Salem Street. The specific location is the crosswalk going across Salem Street, essentially right in front of the Halley, right at the Outfitters. So it's that main crosswalk that leads from the Outfitters to the depot side.
Closest
Okay.
to Center Street.
Closest to Center Street, yes. So the department was asked to create an open call for artists for this that will open in October. And then we will go through a very similar process as we are right now, where we will create a committee in addition to the Public Art Committee with representatives from downtown businesses as well as economic development. And we will choose a muralist for this project. This project itself is a little bit more complicated than some of the other murals that we've done, just based on how popular that specific road is. So we're going to have to get into specifics with the police department as well as the fire department on how we want to close the road for that mural, whether it be half of the street then the other half of the street, or if we do it overnight and they bypass the traffic at nighttime, or if we hire an artist with an apprentice so they can get it all done at once, because the idea is they'll want to have it done by July 1, 2025. So with the proposed timeline, it would be launched in October. The deadline for the applications is late December, and the install would be in April. So the April install would give us a little bit of wiggle room if we have any delays or complications in the process to meet that July 1 deadline.
I have a slightly confounding question.
Sure.
That intersection is actually, there's actually kind of two crosswalks there.
Mm-hmm.
One that crosses Center Street and one that crosses Salem Street.
Yes.
I'm assuming the proposal is just for the Salem Street one,
Yes.
but it might be kind of weird to not have something done for the Center Street one in that case.
Yes. So the decision has been made for specifically just the Salem Street one. We did put in an additional proposal for a bookend, if you will, as an idea that Tom came up with last week. So it'd be the front of Salem, essentially in front of the Halley, and the other one in front of kind of like by Anna's. That way is kind of like bookends, and that is just a request put out there. The definite request for the public call is the one right in front of the Outfitters. Okay. It will be up to the Public Art Committee to come up with the overall theme, and obviously the design itself, hi Lafayette, the design itself will still go through the same process that our other murals and artworks do go through. So we would choose and recommend what mural it would go through forward with, and then I would bring it here in public comment on a council meeting, and then it would go through discussion, and if approved, then the artist would be able to work through it that way. If not, if it's workshopped again, then it's kind of, we come back every few weeks. Okay? That's the same process we have now.
What inspired the approval for that? Because I know in the past we've talked about this and it was just not a possibility, just for future reference, for to get projects like this kind of across the line.
This is a part of our beginning stages of beautifying downtown.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we kind of wanted to start with something really focal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yes.
it's a great point, because we've brought this up for many, many years.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
it's been part of the downtown plan for a long time, but yeah, we weren't able to get action or traction on it. So delighted to see it's moving forward, but yeah, interesting.
Yeah, and so within the coming weeks, I will be coordinating a meeting with several departments, because this project will have many hands in it internally, not only internally but also externally. So not only would it be the Public Art Committee and Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Resources, but it would also be Economic Development, the Police Department and Fire Department, our Planning Committee, our Planning Department, our Transportation Committee, and then the community outreach of some sort, community approach, if you will, to make sure that we're getting their feedback as well. And it would be similar to how we're doing the White Oak Creek Greenway committee as well. So it would be a group discussion and a group meeting. Mhm. So that's where we are in that project.
Any other comments or questions on that one?
Exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great,
Sounds
Peak Fest.
exciting.
Peak Fest.
I
would be a
know,
great-
right?
A good goal.
Yes, the idea is that, and that was actually a part of the
Timing.
aggressive timeline, is to have it done by April so that it is nice and beautiful for Peak Fest.
All right, good
Yes.
stuff.
Yeah, and I'll have more as time goes by, and it will launch. Applications will launch in October. Okay.
It's great.
All right.
Sounds like Sean is off the hook finally.
All right. Yeah.
Well, this is the new crosswalk,
Yeah.
so the old
We'll see.
crosswalk. Who knows?
I just mean like.
But yes.
All right. Let's see. Any other new business?
I think the only other thing that I have that I wanted to add to our official new business is the, believe it or not, Sculpture Walk 25-26 has officially been launched.
Oh my gosh.
We get about a month and a half off, and then we turn right back around.
Start again.
So yes, that was launched on our website on Friday, and the deadline for those applications is November 14th. So any sculpture artists you know and would like to recommend outside of our normal, our sculpture family that we have, definitely send them to the website.
Can we try to think of some additional kinetic art sculptors?
I can do something
Yeah, if
more
we can kind of
detailed.
brainstorm and try and, I would love to see. I still
Well,
remember.
yeah,
the-
again, like every year, you're welcome to send them to any artists you know that do, professional work, that have those kind of, something that would meet the, aesthetic and the whatever scale that we do. I mean, I usually send out personally to 100 or so sculptors. So,
Okay.
so yeah, if you could, and some of those have kinetic pieces, but yeah, if you could find others, fire away, get them out there.
Did we talk last year about, excuse me, like some type of online forum to post the call?
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
and that's typically done, but yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, there are, I think it's like 3 or 4 different nationwide art calls that are actually free to us to post on, and they go up and they have like a regular refresh.
Okay.
All right, great. Anything else from anyone?
I wanted to ask real quick, is there a plan for any kind of maintenance on the sidewalk murals at the bus stops? I just noticed the one in downtown Apex was it was already like scuffed up a little bit, probably because it's a really high traffic place. I just happened to notice when I was walking by, but I didn't know if we had a plan, like, to kind of tune into that, or if we, like, should,
I'll talk to planning
Like,
since that was their
I don't know if there
initial
was like
project.
a year out, we
Yeah.
look at it, but, because that was just when did we finish that project? Last summer?
The last March, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll talk to planning to see what they had built in
Okay.
into their plan, and if not, I can talk to our
Okay.
Parks Operations crew to see if they can.
Yeah. Well, I know
kinda plan
specifically
it
the
out.
one that's right there. She's, I
Right in
think, an Apex
downtown.
resident, so I think isn't
Oh,
that one right there? So I thought she would
Okay.
probably want it looking as good as possible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, good stuff. Anyone else?
I had a question. Someone asked me when the applications for the, forgive me, Christmas parade open up.
The
And
Christmas parade.
When is the application or deadline for
To be in the
to
parade?
participate?
It's not a part of the town.
That's correct. The Christmas parade is not actually a part of the town of Apex. But let me see if their resource is on their website right now.
I believe it's already open from what I remember. It's the Rotary.
And will we be?
Yeah, that is housed through the Apex Rotary Club, and it looks like they do, and just as Bethany has mentioned, it is officially online and open. So that is apexrotary.org.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, anything else?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All right, a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned.